And welcome to Ask Dr. Mache on Facebook Live. I'm excited to be here with you this evening and talking with you as I do every Thursday at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern about the questions that are related to healthy, happy living in menopause, going into, through, and beyond. It's been an exciting week. How many of you saw the solar eclipse? If you did see it, say yes. Let me know if you did. It was really kind of an interesting thing to see. All the people were out. They had their glasses. And it really was good because the country was more or less together and people were happy. They were all actually unified for a change, and that was a really positive thing right there. And it was amazing. You couldn't find those glasses anywhere, but people were really, really happy to share. And it was kind of exciting. And for those of you who don't know me, I am a member of the faculty at Harvard Medical School. I'm a menopause expert, and I help women figure it out so they don't have to tough it out, and so they can live a healthy, happy, and hormonally balanced life. And what I want to do today is ask you if you will please share this, put it on your page, let other people know, because we're going to be talking today about hot flashes, and this will be for you in particular if you are struggling with hot flashes, if there is night sweats, if this is the kind of thing that is embarrassing you, causing you any issues. And I'm going to really offer you the opportunity to ask a lot of questions about this. I know that when I did this about a couple of months ago, we had thousands of women from all over the world, and so last week when I did it, there was a request to do some more discussions on hot flashes, so I responded to that, and I'm happy to share with you this information because it affects about 80% of women, and it's something that really can be debilitating, it can be embarrassing, it can be frustrating, it can rob you of your sleep, and so much more. I want to just tell you briefly how I got started in all of this. For those of you who don't know me, I was one of the world's leading experts in infertility treatment. I did some of the very first in vitro fertilizations in the United States. And then in 2002, when a study came out that incorrectly stated that hormones cause breast cancer, heart disease, dementia, and a whole lot more, just 7 months after that, my wife had surgery that threw her into early menopause, and her doctors were reluctant to treat her with hormones. So I transitioned at that time. I used to do sperm to term, and I transitioned to womb to tomb. So I take care of women in and around menopause now. I have been doing so for a long time. And as editor of the Hot Years magazine, I've had the opportunity not only to do my own work, my own research, but also to interview those who do most of the studies and to combine that together and bring it to you. And you may not know, but if you don't, if you go to askdrmache.com, askdrmache.com, you can have the opportunity to post your questions, and then I'll see those, and then I can specifically answer those questions. So we had somebody come in that had one that pertained to this, and so I want to take a moment to answer this for you right now. This is a question from Christine. She says, I'm 48 years old, I'm an athlete, and I train intensely. I do cardio and weight training 5 to 7 days a week. I entered menopause early at age 44, and I want to tell you that that's not unusual. It may seem so, but it is 5 to 10% are enter menopause early, and they are entering menopause before age 45. So what I want to say is that she goes on to say that I've been on HRT regimen for approximately 3 years using compounded bioidentical hormones, and it seems when I take the estrogen, I experience severe bloating, water retention, edema, weight gain, breast tenderness, and at times experience cramping. On the flip side, I suffer from severe hot flashes and night sweats. At times I'll go 2 to 3 weeks without them, but that's definitely not the norm. How do I alleviate hot flashes and night sweats when my body is seemingly disagreeing with the estrogen? Well, I want to say, Christine, that I'm sorry you're having this problem. It certainly sounds like you're training and you're doing a lot of things, and exercise is a good thing in terms of hot flashes. But one of the things that I want you to know is that bioidentical estrogens, particularly ones from compounding pharmacies, have one flaw with them, and that is, you know how you go in and they make those hormones up for you each time you go in, and as a result, studies show that the hormones that you get may not be what your doctor ordered. So translated, what happens is that in one study in which they went to, took a prescription from a doctor and mailed the same prescription to 12 compounding pharmacies, and the pharmacies filled the prescription, and then they mailed that prescription, all the 12 pharmacies mailed the prescription to a chemical laboratory that specialized in analyzing compounded hormones and hormone analysis. And what they found is that none of them got exactly the same thing, and in general, the majority of them had more estrogen than what was ordered. In other words, those women were getting somewhere between 80 and 200% more estradiol than was actually on the prescription. And as a result of that, the women, were at risk for more, but they were getting a lot of estrogen. Now, in addition, the women who got the progesterone, the progesterone levels were actually 60 to 80% less than what was ordered. So now you have this relative high dominance of estrogen and this low amount of progesterone. And what we're seeing is, for the first time, we're seeing compounding women who are receiving estrogen or hormones from compounding pharmacies starting to report uterine or endometrial cancer. Now that's a big risk for you, and I'm not saying don't take it, you can't take it, I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying is that there are risks that you have to be prepared to anticipate, and if you are getting your hormones filled from a compounding pharmacy, then it's very important that you have the uterine lining checked at a regular level, and you can also get ultrasounds of the uterine lining. You can get an endometrial biopsy. You can get it checked in a lot of different ways, but be sure that you are checking. So, Christine, I think the issue is that the medication that you're getting may be imbalanced or imbalancing your system and causing you to have basically a high level of estrogen, a low level of progesterone, and that's causing the bloating and all the other things you're having. So I would recommend getting some blood levels drawn to see how high your levels are. I would recommend considering switching from the compounding pharmacy to a regular trade store pharmacy. And what a lot of people don't know, and in a study that came out just a month or so ago, it showed that many people don't realize, including pharmacists, that the bioidentical hormones that are in compounding pharmacies are the same compounding hormone, the same hormone, bioidentical hormones that are in the chain drugstores. In other words, estradiol is the same whether it's in the compounding pharmacy or it comes from the chain drugstore, and there are many dosage opportunities in the chain drugstores. So it's really worth it to think about getting the hormones filled there because it's FDA approved, FDA regulated, the Food and Drug Administration, whereas the compounding pharmacies are not. and each one has to fit a very rigid criteria in the chain drugstores, the CVS's, the Walgreens, the Rite Aids, the uh, all the ones that you go to, and the compounding pharmacies don't have that. So I want to just encourage you to be aware of that, Christine, and to go for the ones that are FDA regulated, so you know you're going to get what you were prescribed. So I hope that's helpful to you. And again, if you have questions that you want answered specifically, you can go in to Ask Dr. Mache, AskDrMache.com. Write in your question, and then I'll answer it for you or try, if we have time, I'll try to answer as many of them as I can at the next Facebook Live. And I shifted to Facebook Live because before it was telephone and so forth, or on the computer, and people have a URL. We had people from all over the place, but it was hard to get the same kind of audience as we do in these particular Facebook Lives, because it's set up so much better on Facebook. Well, I wanted to do that and ask you again to please share the video, let people know that we're here. And if they have questions on hot flashes, let me know so that I can try to address them, because it's a big thing. One of the things I want to say to you is there are a lot of mistakes that people make when they are having perimenopause and menopause. And one of the things, I want to give you a couple of the mistakes that trigger hot flashes that you should be aware of. One of the ones is alcohol. Now, most people like their glass of wine or two, and they enjoy alcohol. But let me tell you, for a lot of women, alcohol can be a trigger for hot flashes. And I'll tell you also that alcohol can also increase your estrogen levels in your bloodstream. So if you're on it, it may increase it, but at the same time it can be a trigger. And one of the things you can do, if there are other foods, like hot spicy foods can be a trigger. There are a lot of things that can be a trigger. But if you keep a log of that, then you can be much more proactive in avoiding those foods. The second thing is that they're diet pills. A lot of the people who are struggling with weight, trying to get the weight off, and they take different kinds of diet pills, then I just want to say that those can trigger hot flashes. And I have a free download that you can get if you go to hotflashgift.com, hotflashgift.com. If you go there, you'll get 10 mistakes that trigger hot flashes, and that will be helpful to you because I list them out and I give the explanation in great detail. Do you have any questions about hot flashes that you are struggling with? Would you like to have some specific things talked about, or point me in a direction, because I speak around the country to women's groups and to medical groups, and we can go on for a long time on the content. But if there's something that you want, let me know. Write it down here. Would that be helpful? All right. Well, as I said, today I'm going to try and talk about all things hot flashes that would be helpful to you. Here's one of the things I want you to understand that I think is very important, and one that I think gets overlooked a lot. The fact of the matter is that hot flashes, in my opinion, are much more than just an inconvenience or something that is a pain in the neck or embarrassing. Yes, it's all those things, no question about it. But one of the things that people don't realize is the impact it can have on their life. I'll give you two examples because I think they're particularly powerful. The first is, in one study of 500,000 women, that's a lot of women, 500,000 women who had hot flashes. And these are women that worked at Fortune 500 companies. 250,000 of these women were getting treated for hot flashes, and 250,000 weren't. And the 250,000 women that were not being treated for hot flashes, they were having 6 more doctor's visits per year than the women whose hot flashes were treated. So there's a lot of time lost from work. There's a lot of going to the doctor for things. It wasn't they were going for the hot flashes. They were going for conditions that came up as a result of the hot flashes. And by that I mean insomnia or difficulty sleeping. And you know how it is at night if you're asleep. Have you ever been in sleep and had hot flashes and it wakes you up at night? Maybe you can't go back to bed. Maybe you can, but it's a big problem for people. Does that happen to you? Well, the sleep disruption is a big thing, and not only does sleep make you tired, but also not enough sleep puts you at risk for increased blood pressure. It puts you at increased risk of diabetes. It puts you at increased risk for heart disease, and it puts you at increased risk for not showing up for work, because that's one of the things these studies are showing. And something that along the lines of heart disease that I want to mention in particular is that the studies now are associating moderate to severe hot flashes as a marker for heart disease. So in other words, you've got these hot flashes and you think, this is a pain. Okay, but it may also be telling you that you need to be checked for heart disease. Now this is an important thing to know, particularly if you have a family history of heart disease, and particularly if you're not on estrogen, which can be protective of heart disease. So keep this in mind to talk about with your internist, your primary care, and so forth. So other questions, or questions about hot flashes? All right. Well, my goal here is to answer your questions, and I hope that we'll get some. Are you having hot flashes? Tell me. Say yes if you are, so I'll know that you're there. Show me some love and just sign in. Say something. Write a comment. Let me know that you're there. And how can I help you? And also, I want to mention that if you go to hotflashgift.com, you will get a list of 10 mistakes that trigger hot flashes, and this will be helpful things that you can avoid so that you don't continue to struggle with that problem. Other things you'd like to hear or have covered? Okay, well, I want to thank you very much for joining me this evening, and I appreciate that you come. If you have topics that are important to you, if you have ones that you'd like to hear, then let me know. We have a lot of information, and there's so much to talk about with just hot flashes. Not only is that estrogen, and I do want to tell you that I have a new book out. It's coming out September the 19th, and it's called The Estrogen Fix, and this is the paperback version of my book, and this tells you exactly how to treat hot flashes. It tells you how estrogen affects your brain, your breasts, your bones, your bladder, your vagina, your skin. It tells you how much to take, which ones to take, how they're different, what things that you need to watch out for, and importantly, it gives you an entire list of alternatives to estrogen, because not everyone can or wants to take hormones, and I understand that. It's important that you realize, though, that estrogen, if taken in your estrogen window, can lower your risk of heart disease. It can lower your risk of breast cancer. It can lower your risk of dementia, diabetes, osteoporosis, problems with vaginal dryness, a whole host of things, colon cancer, a whole host of things if you take it in your estrogen window. And that's a very important thing to understand. But if the window closes, it can increase your risk of those very same things. So keep an eye out for the Estrogen Fix, and it's available everywhere. And if you go to estrogenfixbook.com and order it now, you'll get some free gifts that will be very helpful to you, including what questions to ask your doctor. You'll get a menopause checklist. You'll get a whole host of things that I have available. And if you go to hotflashgift.com, you'll get your download of 10 mistakes that trigger hot flashes. Okay, well, this is Dr. Mache. I want to thank you for joining me. And remember, it's better to stay well than to get well. So stay well. Thanks for joining me.